Just last week, President Muhammadu Buhari approved the appointment of a sole administrator for the Niger Delta Commission. In doing so, the president might have once again stirred the brewing controversy, which for the greater part of 2 years practically crippled the special purpose agency mandated with responsibility of spreading government development agenda across the oil-rich region. The appointment is getting a lot of pushback from critical stakeholders in the region. Many of them convinced beyond reasonable doubt that the politics rather than interest of the people was the overriding motivation. So this morning we're being joined again from Arise News Studio in Abuja by Kolawole Johnson, member, Institute of Public Relations and a researcher, strategic communication specialist. Mr. Johnson has made depositions before the House of Representative Committee on the NDDC in the ongoing investigation against the allegations of financial malfeasance against the now replaced interim management committee of the agency. We'll now try to get his thoughts on the recent development at the NDDC. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure having you. What is happening with the NDDC? Because I understand, yeah, there have been some sweeping moves made. Professor Pondei is out. And I also understand that 62 billion might still be going to them next year for projects and the likes. But how are we sure that this is not going to be frittered away by corruption again, like the depositions you made? Because I'm seeing that already in the next year budget. They'll get 62 billion. How's it going to be spent?
Well, first, let me just, well, is it correct, that impression? What is going to them is not that 62 billion naira. Aside from that, because there are counterpart funds each year that come from different other bodies. So what the federal government is giving NDDC next year is that figure you mentioned. But all companies and other stakeholders are going to contribute to NDDC pulse. And at the end of the day, they may have over 200 billion naira to spend next year. There are years that they have much more than that. Perhaps because of COVID-19, maybe we should expect what the FG is given and what will be coming from the oil companies and perhaps some other debt being owed the commission may give the commission over 200 billion naira to spend in 2021. But while you're talking about 2021 budget, the 2020 budget is still at the National Assembly. It has not been passed yet. What that means is simple, that NDDC has been spending all along, all through this year, without a budget. And each time you raise alarm, the institution that should give the oversight, they turn a deaf ear. Now, take this for example. You're talking about the new appointment of a sole administrator. Of course, not known to law. But at this point, I like to be very careful. Why? Our body that I represent will be meeting tomorrow in the emergency board meeting to review what has happened, take a position, and have a work plan to drive it. So some of the views may not wholly represent that of my body. However, don't forget that 2 weeks ago, we actually released a press statement where we explained that the minister is trying to take advantage of a situation to sack the interim board members and bring in a sole administrator. We wrote to the Attorney General. We wrote to the SGF, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. We wrote to the Senate. We wrote to the House of Representatives. We raised this alarm, and just like every other alarm, nothing was done until it happened. You know, at this point, there is a need to strike a balance between destructive and constructive criticism. So I'm trying to be very, very careful so that it won't look as though we are all out to bring down the commission. However, what has happened is unknown to law. Last year, I remember when the president appointed the interim members, we actually came out to say, okay, Mr. President, this is unknown to law, but if this will solve the problem of the commission and ensure that this commission fulfill its mandate to the people, well, we will support as long as the place is cleansed. It's cleansed, and we have a brand new commission that can fulfill its mandate to the people. Now, we supported that, not because it was right, but because we felt the president was sincere to clean the place and bring about a commission that would deliver to the people. But few weeks after, we saw that that was not the situation. Those who were sent there to clean the place became much more horrible. In fact, they were stealing the place dry. And we have brought out fact again and again. Not a single one has been found to be untrue. We have testified before the National Assembly. And there was no testimony that we gave. And they were able to debunk successfully. No, of course, facts don't lie. We have submitted fact to anti-corruption agencies. We have put this in the public space. And unfortunately, it appears the government is rewarding corruption, promoting corruption, and establishing corruption. From this that has happened, what you can find is very simple. That the government itself is not serious about fighting corruption. And if that is the position, what should be our response to a situation like this? I have heard different groups coming out with statements. Pondei, in fact, we have spoken just this morning, some few minutes ago. Pondei, brought out a statement a few hours ago. Different groups from the region are speaking. I want to be careful for us to take a position as an organization in act before I bring out our opinion. However, what has happened should not continue, especially when we have an opportunity to bring about a board. The president could choose anybody he wants for a board to be in place. What has happened now is that what the law says is very simple, that 9 states are deemed to be the oil-producing state, and something will be made available for them to share equally for the development of the area. And they said, okay, each of these states must have a representative, so that what belongs to you will not be given to another. Now, what we had before now in the last 1 year is that the entire states have been represented by just 5 individuals, later 4. Right now, we are giving the power of the 9 states to just one single person, the sole administrator, not just unknown to law, but that is also from Akwa Ibom State, where the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs comes from, where the essay to the President on Niger Delta Affairs comes from. So it's about Akwa Ibom and Akwa Ibom alone, where you have 9 good states.
Which is why it's been said that Mr. Johnson, if I may, that's why it's been said that Mr. Akwa is the minister's brother. Anyway, I wanted to ask you your take on the government's position and put it to you that the federal government or the presidency claims that the appointment of that sole administrator, Mr. Akwa, is in response to a plethora of litigation against the IMC, the Interim Management Committee. So I want your take on that. Do you accept that as a rationale or not? Seeing as though, as you've clearly said, the NDDC Establishment Act, Part 1, Section 2, gives a clear mandate for a governing board. It does not know an IMC or a sole administrator. What do you make of the president's rationale?
Well, I must confess that the president may not be having the best of advisors around him, especially at a time like this when we need every solid advice to bring the nation, back again. I don't think I want to agree with what the president, with the excuse they gave. Why? Because we actually came out to leak this to the public, that this is what they are trying to do. Our statement is there on the 4th of December. That statement is in the public space. You can just Google and see. We wrote a letter to the AGF, the Attorney General, informing him of this plan and telling him that this is against the law. We wrote to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, informing the office that there is a need for Mr. President to, because, of course, we got intel. We knew what they were planning on the ground. We wrote to the National Assembly that should have stopped it. They have that constitutional power to stop it, but they never did. If each time such is about to happen, we expose it, and those who should do something will end up doing nothing, and it still happens. What do you want the public to do? Absolutely nothing. So what the president gave, or what they gave in the presidency, I don't want to say the president now. What they gave in the presidency as the excuse is not tenable before the law. Then don't forget that if you're talking about plethora of court cases, that the judgment actually that they are acting upon had actually, the court case had actually been withdrawn. However, do I still want a Pondei in office? Do I still want my brother, a Cairo in office? By the way, I learned he's heading to court for the sack. No, we don't want them. Because they have been stealing the place dry all along. I told you, we released a statement that they became a stealing machine for the minister for a very long time. Nothing was done. So, good riddance to bad rubbish. Let them go. However, what is coming to replace them? Is it the best for this period? I am waiting for my organization to take a position before we drive this all out. But I think the call for coalition across the region, we may likely join, to get this once and for all sorted, because we don't think this is the best for the area. However, some are saying that this man is experienced, that he's been in the commission before as an SA, then he came as an acting director of finance, that he would be able to maybe bring some changes to the place. But for me, I think as long as it's under the minister, as it were now, the minister is the sole proprietor, while he is the sole administrator. If when you have 3, 4, 5 persons, the place was turned, was turned to private property. What do you think will happen now?
Mr.
So for
Johnson,
me, I want to be very careful not to destroy. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Johnson. What's the situation of that forensic audit we've been talking about since God knows when now?
My brother, I think you may not have any headway with forensic audit in the next 1 year, because if you check, I'm sure that as a media person, you do content analysis very well. Do the content analysis of that Mr. Femi's statement. You will see that there's a trap there. The trap says that the man will remain in office till the completion of forensic audit. I am a language person. This is my job. I can bet you that what that means is that the actors involved who brought this guy into the office will keep prolonging the forensic office for as long as possible. I don't see that thing having a headway, even in 1 year to this time. Remember when they started last year, they said 3 months or thereabout, 6 months. They keep prolonging. They will still prolong for another 1 year, 1.5 years. And I said it before, as long as the minister is the one supervising the forensic audit, you will not have justice in that place. You cannot have it, because he has been part of the rot in that place before. Apologies to him. I don't want to disrespect his office, but he's been part of the rot in that place all along. As a matter of fact, the last MD that was there between 2013 and 2015 that this present government met in office and sacked 6 months after was nominated by Senator Godswill Akpabio. And the present sole administrator just sworn in was SA Finance to the same man. So they were together. And unfortunately, the regime of the time was characterized by corruption, allegations of humongous corruption. Now, if the minister has nominated people who served in that place before, and he's been part of the rot, what do you think he will be the one to clean the place? For me, I would have thought that we bring an independent body to clean the place if we are serious about cleaning the place. Because come to think of it, I told us before, yes, when COVID-19 just started, when we started this movement, that clearly the COVID-19 staring us in the face may eventually get to Nigeria. In fact, we'll get to Nigeria. And when, after COVID, we may not have the same economy again. That there is a need for us to protect what we have so that we'll have what to spend after COVID. It has happened. They swept away every damn thing we have. At a point like that, the account of that commission was reduced to 600 million naira. Everything swept. I gave a breakdown of how 21 billion was spent within a very short time. And our contract that never existed were being paid for. Our contract that you can't even find them on the ground were being paid for. So we squandered all the money we had. Unfortunately, again, we are not still ready to clean the place. So we should take a position, not just as a people, as a nation. What do we want to have? Do we want to continually reward, promote, support corruption? Or we want to take a stand for our future. So the forensic audit, I'm not seeing any future with it. I pray they prove me wrong. But we told you we told you when they started. We told you early in the year. We told you in June. We told you in July. Now this is December. Have you gotten anything contrary to what we told you? No. So the forensic audit that you mentioned may not have headway even in 1 year to come, because they will want to perpetrate that to keep this guy in office. However, if this guy is an accountant and he can do a good job with the place, are we going to find a ground to give him the chance? For how long will that be? So these are issues I think our body will look into tomorrow in our meeting and take a position.
Well, you have been screaming yourself hoarse, figuratively, of course. You've been talking about this, trying to highlight it, draw attention to it. After you have your emergency meeting tomorrow and come up with a statement, what is your plan of action?
Of course, once you have a definite position, we have a work plan to drive this. And of course, stations like Arise, you've always been there to drive, to set agenda for public discourse. The first thing I think we're going to do, because we've gotten calls, to be part of coalition, it is for us first to be able to look at these groups and see how genuine they are. So if we find a ground to join, of course, we join coalition. And some of the groups are also partnering with us. Like, take for example, I think Connected Development. Yes, I think another one, again, Follow the Money. We're having different groups, coming together to support and also help us in our agitation. So we may likely, in fact, we are taking a different approach from what we've been doing before. Before now, we've been pouring out our data to the public just like that. But now, no, we are taking a different approach entirely where, we're going to push for something definite in different ways. Of course, strategically, much more than before. And I think one thing we should also mention is the fact that those who have been accused of corruption all along, now that they are no longer in the office, is it not time to prosecute them? Whoever is ready to prosecute them, we have enough documents to put them behind the bar. We'll supply them.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll look on how the case of the NDDC continues, and how the quest to be able to bring succor and tears to the people of the Niger Delta takes its turn right here. So thank you so much.